evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. He'll shoot and he'll score! One in the area! And it's not, we did
Good afternoon, and for the very last time this season, very welcome to Cardiff City TV for the final game of Cardiff City's 21-22 Championship campaign with myself, Ashley James, as we bring you live coverage of this afternoon's game at Pride Park with already relegated Derby County, a game that could well have had very different consequences for the end of this season were it not, of course, for that 21-point deduction that Derby have been railing against, quite valiantly in fact, for the vast majority of this season. Coming into this season with that points deduction, they needed terms to be the 10th best team in this division to have any chance of staying up. As it is, they've been about the 15th or 16th best team, which in his own right is actually quite remarkable when you consider the young, inexperienced squad they've been churning out every week, a smattering of experience, and they finally were relegated a couple of weeks ago. For Cardiff, we know the disappointment that this season has brought about, the frustrations that have gone with it. It feels like the final game before we hit the refresh in the summer, doesn't it? And I thank you for joining us this afternoon for this game. We thank you for joining us for the remainder of the season. It's been quite a journey, a frustrating one, and we've been in it together. And I thank the Cardiff fans who have travelled this afternoon to Pride Park, because there should be upwards of 1,400 of them in attendance. And if history tells us anything, it should be fancy dress day today. So the fact that we're visiting Derby, I'm hoping to see some salopettes, some skiing gear, some snowboarding gear. Considering the opposition, that would be a very welcome sight for the Cardiff fans to enjoy themselves on the final day of this frustrating season. Cardiff make some changes to the team as well. There's a few surprises in there. We retained the back three shape seemingly that we've played with for most of the campaign. Like young Ollie Denham keeps his place on the left side of that back three. Aidan Flint comes back into the side and wears the armband on what could be his final appearance for the club, with his contract expiring at the end of the season. The interesting changes are in the middle of the park, where it looks like Perry and G, who ended last week's game against Birmingham as a central midfielder, albeit a filling one, looks like he might get a start there this afternoon. And the midfield three looks like being former Crew teammates Ryan Wintle and Perry and G, with young Eli King recalled to the team also. He was had to be replaced at half-time last week, but he gets another start this afternoon. Cody Drammer gets one final start in a Cardiff shirt. Who knows what will happen with his situation come next season. We've got an interview, in fact, with Cody coming up in this pre-match show, so please stay tuned for that. Joel Bagan returns to the team and the left wing-back position, and up top it's Jordan Hugill and Mark Harris. Again, could be one final game in a Cardiff shirt for Jordan Hugill, of course, on loan from Norwich. But who knows? Who knows what will happen in what's sure to be a tumultuous summer with so much upheaval ahead of us at the club. Don't forget, final game of the season this afternoon, but things are going to be kicking off a little bit earlier come next year. So we're going to be signing off this afternoon and saying thank you and farewell, and enjoy the rest of your summer. But the Championship season is set to kick off a week earlier than usual for 22-23 because of the World Cup in Qatar. So the first Championship game scheduled for the final weekend of July coming up. So in fact, we will be back with you with live pre-season coverage on Cardiff City TV come the middle of July at the very latest. So only a brief respite from us here before we get things back into the swing of the action for the next campaign. But that's your team news ahead of today's game with Derby County. I'm going to throw you over now to our usual chat with manager Steve Morrison.
Remit was obviously take charge for a few games, then get us safe, did that, and then obviously plan for next season. So we've been well on the process to doing that. Yeah, it's been ups and downs, which is football management at its finest. But yeah, and I really enjoyed it. Learned loads. Learned what goes down well, what doesn't go down well, the pressures, the ups and downs. So no, it's been a good experience, and obviously really excited for the future now. We're doing really good work, and we've got. I said we have some, like I said the other day, we have deals that are done. Obviously, we can't do anything with them until the 1st of June or whenever the transfer window, I think might be the 10th of June, something like that. So yeah, no, we just keep working. We're in negotiations with people here. Everyone's been told if they're getting contracts or not. So everything's pretty clear. We all know where we're going, what direction we're going in. And yeah, it's just work in progress now. And then obviously after get a good result tomorrow, hopefully finish the season with everyone with a smile on their face, and everyone excited to see what's going to happen going forward, as much as we are. No, we'll be facing the same Derby team that we faced earlier in the season. They're very good with what they do. They have their patterns of play. We'll try and enforce our game on them as well. And yeah, it'll be a game that both teams will want to win, because they'll want to end their season at home on a positive, and we'll want to end our season and our 15 to 2,000 fans, 1,500 to 2,000 fans that are travelling up there, give them something to go away with as well. So, and as I've alluded to before, you should always want to win football matches. So under no uncertain terms are we or I going up there and just going to say to the players, I'll just go and have a game of football and let's go home. It's go up there, win the game, do it right. And that's what we're trying to do.
Cardiff manager Steve Morrison there talking ahead of this afternoon's game with Derby County in his final pre-match press conference of the season. I'm sure he's delighted to see the back of them. It's been, as we've mentioned several times, a tricky campaign for club, for players, for him as well, and I'm sure all of the projecting forward he's had to do in recent weeks, he's just going to be delighted to get down to work, I think, and bring some new faces into the club, realising the big rebuilding job that's ahead of him. We've got a couple of interviews yet to come on this afternoon's pre-match show. We're going to hear from Mark McGuinness in the next segment. We're also going to hear from Cody Drammer coming up. Mark McGuinness, in fact, on the bench this afternoon. It's a very top-heavy Cardiff bench this afternoon. Isaac Davis returning from injury, he's got a place there. James Collins retains his place on the bench. Ruben Caldwell also on the bench. Max Watters also. So 4 real attacking options for the Bluebirds, who there aren't places for. One we expected, of course, Joe Rawls was ruled out for the rest of the season, so no Joe Rawls in the matchday squad today. No Will Vaulks either, ruled out this afternoon. And also no farewell game in a Cardiff shirt for Tommy Doyle, who obviously succumbed to that second half injury a week ago against Birmingham, which looked very much like a dead leg, and he hasn't recovered from that this afternoon, which is why A, he's not on the bench this afternoon, and B, largely why we're going to get a look at Perry G as a central midfielder. He looked good in it for a short spell last week. Let's see how he goes this afternoon. That's something we might be able to talk to my colleague Connor Pearce about, and hopefully we'll see Connor over my right shoulder. Perfect. Connor, headline news then, as you're in position at Pride Park this afternoon, just talking about Perry G and his potential positioning as a central midfielder this afternoon. We were impressed in the brief cameo that we saw of him at the tail end of last game, although it's very different starting a game in that shape than reverting to it when things have got a bit chaotic.
Afternoon, Ash. Yeah, we were impressed, I think it's fair to say, with Perry G's performance in midfield. As you say, just for the final few minutes of that match against Birmingham City. And of course, at the end of the season, it's the type of thing that Steve Morrison can try and do, experiment with the side. We've seen him experiment with different lineups, not so much in terms of personnel. And this is a real interesting one to see how he copes in the middle of the park today. But I am very excited. And as you say, we were pleasantly surprised when Perry moved into midfield last week.
Yeah, as you said, he went well in that position, and a show of faith, I guess, around that as well, in that Ollie Denham continues to get his start in the back line, another player who's impressed. And if you're looking at where Perry might drop, it might have been an opportunity to see him on the left-hand side of a back three today, giving Curtis an opportunity on the right. But no, Ollie Denham's justifiably keeping his position at the moment, and that really bodes well for the summer ahead and obviously next season.
Well, I think first of all, it's completely deserved that Ollie Denham stays in the team. He's looked assured, he's looked confident in that back three. We've seen him in the last couple of games. And it's really important for him to get that championship experience, obviously, coming through the academy at the club. Hasn't had too many minutes early in the season, aside from that fantastic FA Cup debut against Liverpool at Anfield. So it's good to see Denham in there. And of course, maybe that's why NG shifted into midfield, because as you say, we could have seen Perry on the left of the three, but instead he's moved forward, and maybe that's to keep Denham in the side and keep giving him those minutes that he deserves.
If you're talking about, obviously, trying to build relationships is a difficult thing when you're playing a new position, but Perry should be getting a leg up there because he's playing alongside his good mate Ryan Wintle. Of course, he played, in excess of a couple of hundred games for at Crewe Alexandra, so they should, he's got a leg up in that regard, is that he knows the person he's playing alongside as well as anyone.
And that's going to be massively helpful for him. We know how good Perry is on the ball, composed. We've seen that at wing back and at centre half all throughout the season. But it is different stepping into midfield, and as you say, completely helpful for him to have such an experienced teammate. They know each other well, they're best mates off the pitch, and Ryan will help Perry through the game in terms of positioning, in terms of shape, and also in this midfield three with Eli King as well, who does well to start a game, his second consecutive championship start. There's not a lot of attacking power, so it will be interesting to see in those occasions where maybe possession changes hands in the middle of the park, who in that midfield three is going to be the man taking the charge, bursting forward and putting City on the front foot. I'm really keen to see how that plays out.
We will hold it there a second, Connor. We're going to throw over to another interview, bonus interview this afternoon, third of the day, this one from Cody Drama. Of course, he's been a revelation in his time here at Cardiff City. Picked up both Young Player and Club Player of the Year honours last weekend in the end of season awards. He's an absolutely delightful young man to speak to as well, to boot, and he might very well be getting a Cardiff City swan song this afternoon, playing in the right back position, and we caught up with him yesterday.
Obviously they are relegated, but they are playing for pride, so I'm not too sure what type of WB could get. So it will be a difficult one away from home. It'll be their last game of the season. I know they want to be finishing on a high. I think I read a press like words from, I think, Wayne Rooney or something like that. He said he's eager to finish up the season on a high. So we've got to be at it. I know they'll be at it. So we've just got to match them and hopefully play better than them. Yeah, definitely. I think we've been speaking about it as a team. I know for me personally, I've waited a long time for me to get some minutes and game time, and nothing to me is like dead rubber or anything. So I've been trying to finish on a high. I've been trying to get wins. We've been trying to get wins, and I know like these past 5-6 results haven't been good enough because we haven't won. But we've been trying our best, and tomorrow again we'll go again and try our best to finish on a high and get a win. Yeah, it's great to pick up those awards. Again, I just want to thank the fans, everyone at the club, for helping me get those awards, and just the team for helping me get those awards. So yeah, it was a great honour to pick them up. Yeah, there's some great lads coming through. Obviously, you've seen the lads of like Ruben Colwell, Isaac Davies. You've got Ollie Denham. These are great players coming through. So I think just to support them, encourage them in the future, and I think they'll be top players.
Welcome back. Cardiff City Player of the Year for 21-22. Cody Drama there, which just shows what an impact he's had since his arrival on loan from Leeds in January. Brought a real injection of pace to the side, and more specifically to that right-hand side for Cardiff, and deservedly picked up his honours last weekend at the end of season awards. Now, I'm hoping my colleague Connor Pearce is still with us. Let's shift focus very briefly then to our horse this afternoon. We think we've had a frustrating all season at Cardiff City. It's been quite the ride, hasn't it, at Pride Park. Battled, and it sounds like you're damning with faint praise, but they have battled so valiantly against this, what seemed like an inevitable relegation from minute one, when you consider the financial problems, but also just the sheer youth of this team that Wayne Rooney's had to work with this season.
Consider with this Derby side, teams struggle in the past, unfortunately, with these off-field issues. But having so many young players in the side really, really makes that even more difficult, as talented as they are. They do have a couple of leaders in the side. Curtis Davis springs to mind, 37 years old, and he's played over 40 league games for the Rams this year. But you really need those characters in the struggle times that have done it before. And unfortunately for Derby, despite their best efforts, they've played some brilliant football on times this season. They just haven't had that experience to get them out of what would have been an impossible job.
Because there was a brief moment where I think they pulled themselves to within 7 points of safety, even a bit closer maybe with the way the fixtures for that week fell. But there was a brief moment where they thought they had a little bit of momentum on their side, and people started to believe that the unbelievable might happen. But what seems to have happened at the bottom of the table this year is that Derby, Barnsley or Peterborough all did put a run together, but they couldn't sustain it, and they all ultimately fell away with each other.
And that's critical, because for Derby it would have needed to be almost a perfect season, a playoff season, just to stay up with that points deduction that they had. So when, as teams do in this league, they go on a poor run of form, that's going to really hurt them. And I think it's been away form for the Rams that's cost them the season. 22nd best away form in the division, so not fantastic by any stretch. 3 league wins on the road, if I'm not mistaken. Home form's been a lot better. 11th in the division here at Pride Park. They've won a lot of games, some good performances. That win against eventual champions Fulham springs to mind. And it'll be a tough test for the Bluebirds today, as Cody Drama alluded to there in his interview. Just because the Rams have been relegated to League One does not mean by any stretch that this will be an easy game for City.
I said in my intro, if you looked at that 21 points deduction at the start of the season, if you looked at recent seasons' records, they would have needed to have been the 10th best team in this division to have given themselves a realistic chance of staying up. And as it is, they've fallen a little bit short of that and been probably the 15th, 16th best side in the division in terms of points tally, which actually, in any given season, would have been a real success for them when you consider the squad they've turned out. As you've mentioned the youth there. You've mentioned one player I wanted to speak about very briefly. As you said, Curtis Davis. I'd have had him up there for Team of the Season honours for the Championship, and I know people raised their eyebrows at that, but what he's done essentially alongside either a 40-year-old or an 18-year-old in Jagielka or Cashin for most of the season. He's coming off that Achilles injury. At the moment, he's on... If he plays the 90 today, he'll have played every single minute of Championship football this season, which is quite absurd at his age and coming off the back of that injury. He's never done it before. He's played 46 games before, but never played every minute. And really a tip of a hat to what a veteran presence.
Oh, completely deserved as well. Chipped in with 4 goals as well from central defence this season. And as I said, the importance of those leaders, those experienced players. And to his credit, Davis has provided that for Derby this season. As we say, not quite enough to keep them in the division, but especially for him being the main man at the back and helping those younger players. I'm sure it's been a fulfilling campaign for him, let's say, even though the end goal of staying in the Championship hasn't been achieved.
From me then, Connor, I'm sure you're hoping for an entertaining game. Me and you might have been in the minority last week. We thought we saw one against Birmingham City. We saw signs of life from Cardiff in possession, a composure on the ball. I'm guessing, given Cardiff's good record against Derby, won 8 of the last 10 games against the Rams, and there are a couple of memorable games that stick out from Pride Park as well. I guess another game in the vein of that Valentine's Day match from a few years ago when Craig Noon and Kadeem Harris run amok wouldn't have go amiss.
Exactly, that's what we're hoping for today. Again, 2 sides with nothing to lose, nothing really to play for at this stage of the season, and that's going to show in the shape. I think we've got to get those full wing backs, I should say. Bagan and Drama have to get nice and high to provide the support for Hugo and Harris with that deep midfield 3. But most importantly, last day of the season, as you mentioned earlier, Ash, plenty of fancy dress costumes I saw on my way to Derby today. Not too many snowmen on the train, but we'll wait and see at kick-off.
Disappointing. I guess the 20-degree weather has put pace for as well. For the last time this season, I'll say thank you very much for joining us, Connor. It's been an absolute pleasure all season long. Have yourself a good game and a good journey home.
Thanks very much.
And all that's left for me is to say thank you guys very much for joining us, not just this afternoon, but all season long on Cardiff City TV. We completely appreciate your commitment to the team and to the cause, just like we do the 1,400 Cardiff fans who have travelled to Pride Park this afternoon. Just leaves me to say thank you very much again for this season, and have yourselves a lovely summer. We'll be back, as I mentioned earlier, probably around mid-July, once the pre-season fixtures are cemented in the schedule, because the big kick-off for the 2022-23 campaign was just around the corner, the first weekend of July, where I will be allowed to wear New Balance on camera. And we're all very happy for that. Have yourselves a lovely summer. This is Mark McGuinness. Live coverage coming up the other side of this interview.
Thanks for joining us. Great day to train ahead of the final game of the season on the weekend.
Yeah, it's not bad. It makes it better when the weather's like this. But yeah, well, preparation's gone well. The season we've had is the season we've had, but it's always nice to finish strong, definitely.
And of course, there's over 1,400 City supporters going up, so I imagine you're really looking forward to seeing them there and see them off for the season.
100%. Look, they've been with us throughout the season in their numbers, wherever we've been. They've been travelling a long way to support us, so look, we really appreciate all their support, and hopefully we can top it off with a little 3 points for them on the weekend.
A lot of the supporters will be wearing fancy dress. I imagine you're prepared to seeing them there like that?
Yeah, look, they can go on as they want. Look, we focus on the games, we see them and whatever, but look, we just want to give them the best performance we can on the weekend and the 3 points to top it off.
Of course, how would you reflect, I guess, on your first full season with the club now?
Yeah, it's been full of ups and downs, that's for sure. But look, I appreciate playing as many games as I have this season. I've learned a hell of a lot. I'm playing alongside some very experienced players. Obviously it's going to be a lot different next season, but for me this season I've learned so much just with the guys being in the building. So hopefully I can take that forward for next season and for the next bunch of boys that are coming in next season.
And of course plenty to take into pre-season as well ahead of that.
Oh, definitely. Look, pre-season is where we get to work in, and hopefully we can start the season off strong next season. I'm fortunate enough to have a few games in international window in June as well, so hopefully that will get me ready for pre-season for next season. Yeah.
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Play from Morrison and Ojo and Bakuna, and 3-0, and it's brilliant stuff from Cardiff City. This is a joy to watch.
It's been brilliant from the opening minute. Move the ball, such crispness and efficiency. First contact, they haven't had to pick up the scrap well enough. Toilet very neatly picks up the scrap there on the edge of the area. Morrison has to rush out of his defensive line to get to that. Paul Vyman. Now Cardiff might have a bit of space to work. Left hand side, Bennett from centrally looking to roll. Bennett will get it back. Chance for Bennett to swing this in, looking to lead. The ball will find Patterson, edge of the area. What a finish! Callum Patterson. As a ball swung over, all three men miss it, and then Callum Patterson at the back post.
Again. Moment of looseness from Kellen Moves and Will Vokes! Oh my word! What a strike from Will Vokes!
Well, it's a man whose CV is not short of spectacular goals.
Responding in kind of confidence. Done well, going back and going forward. He returns to the field momentarily. How long he'll be with us, we're not sure. McGregor. Kicks long to the Derby half. Here is Halford. First touch since being injured. Falls kind to Craig Noon on his left foot. Craig Noon makes it 3-2 Cardiff, and it's one of those Noon goals. Think Wolves, think Fulham, think Craig Noon.
Unbelievable from Craig Noon. He came to Greg Halford, he just came back onto the pitch. He found Noon on the right and as Noon cut in, he knew one place that was going, he curls it into the top corner. Unbelievable.
Fielding puts pressure on. Well, Mason puts pressure on Fielding. Hudson shoots from distance. What an effort! What a goal! What a goal!
Cardiff City lineup this afternoon: 1 Dylan Phillips, 3 Joel Bailey, 5 Aidan Flint, 9 Jordan Hugo, 15 Ryan, 16 Curtis Nelson, 17
Good afternoon, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Welcome to Pride Park for the final game of the 21-22 Championship season from Cardiff City perspective. Travel to already relegated Derby County, gearing up to bid farewell to the Championship. And it's a fairly settled side at the moment for Derby County. Part of the problem with the relegation is they haven't had very much to choose from in terms of firepower, a limited squad, and they go again with the 11. It's been a pretty stable unit in recent weeks. For Cardiff, there are a couple of changes and a couple of eye-catching ones as well. Notably, Perry and G looks like he's playing in the central midfield position this afternoon, a position he finished in last week against Birmingham City. He should line up alongside Ryan Little and Eli King in the middle of the park. Eli King keeping his place in the starting 11 despite being withdrawn part-time a week ago. Also keeping his place is Ian Ollie-Den in the back three, who continues to impress in his fledgling championship career. The camera there focused on the prospective buyer of this football club. Something we obviously need to get sorted quickly.